Hey everyone, Isabelle Morgan here. I just got back from Portland, Oregon, visiting my family and some friends out there. We did a diamond therapy study group, which is always a lot of fun. We have one in the Northwest and we have one in the Northeast. So I want to tell you about a really interesting experience that I had on the flight home. I was sitting toward the front and there was a guy sitting next to me on the aisle, and three people who passed us going to their seats, they stopped and they briefly, because it's a race to get to your seats, they stopped by and they congratulated this guy. And one guy said, "Oh my gosh, it's made my day. I'm sitting on the same plane with you." And so I turned to my seat partner here and I said, "Do you get this often?" So this comment just turned into a really long and deep conversation, and it was very meaningful. He was going through a divorce and was very grateful for some of the things that I shared about love and the heart and spirituality. It had touched him deeply, and he made a comment that, well, maybe he thought that God had sat us together. Well, afterwards, looking back on the conversation, I realized that he had given me these cues that I didn't follow up on that could have brought the conversation to a deeper level. And it might have opened the door to share ways that we could have helped each other even more. And so I started to feel badly about myself for not following these cues. I started to feel as though I'd missed an incredible opportunity. I started to feel bad that I didn't listen to these inner nudges as closely as I think I usually do. And so started this negative self-talk. Well, the next morning, I still couldn't shake this negative self-talk that had started running through my head, these regretful feelings that had emerged. And it led to a sense of apathy, which was kind of surprising and bordered on almost a depressing feeling that really had nothing to do with the situation, but it was all about me. So at this point, I caught myself. I said, wait a second, I'm putting myself into a downward spiral. So a downward spiral is a particular type of chakra anomaly that is associated with sadness. And if there are enough of these particular anomalies and in enough chakras, it correlates with depression. And the worse the anomalies are, the more in the chakras they are, the worse the depression. It's just really fascinating because there is a way to correct it. There is a way to correct it. And the easiest way is just to wear the rising light necklace. So I did this chakra test on myself that measured the presence or the absence of these downward spirals and their precursors, which I mentioned. They're called separations, but in any case, I had one in my heart chakra, okay? So I grabbed the rising light necklace, which is, here it is. It's a formula of chrysoprase with pink sapphire and freshwater pearl. Each has a reason for being. And it brought me out of my funk almost right away. And suddenly my entire viewpoint of the conversation shifted. And I realized how meaningful the meeting with this fellow passenger had been, that we had each received a great deal from the conversation, and maybe that was all it was supposed to be. So therefore, it was perfect. And maybe I was listening to my nudges, the deeper nudge that said, no, just be quiet. So my negative self-talk began to morph into these feelings of gratitude. And I realized this whole thing had been a setup, one of the things that life puts in your path to help you grow. And coincidentally, I have been talking about the rising light formula in the past couple of issues of our Healing Gemstone News. That's our weekly newsletter. And this is just a perfect example of how to use one for a self-healing situation. There There is a more, you might say, technical way to use the rising light when you're in a clinical situation. If you have clients or patients that are experiencing depression or deep sadness, but just wearing a necklace for yourself can be very helpful. And you don't have to know the chakra test to wear the necklace. But if you are feeling low or you catch yourself in negative self-talk, just put the necklace on. Me, I always like to associate the feelings that I'm having with chakra anomalies because I like to test, and then I also like to learn. It helps me learn more about myself. But if you'd like to learn how to test, the first step is actually to learn about the different parts of a chakra. Because before you can learn how to identify anomalies in chakras, we got to know what the anatomy is that you're testing. So I do have a free report that you can get, and you can find that on my profile. And we'll also give you the link in the Healing Gemstone News if you're subscribed to it. So rising light is one of the 2 key gemstone tools that you need for working with chakras. This is, again, the sophisticated way to work with them. The other one is called Chakra Guardian. And with these 2 gemstone tools, you can work with all the parts of the chakra system. You can evaluate, you can assess, you can correct anomalies. And gosh, correcting chakra anomalies is probably one of the key ways to make a huge difference in how a person feels right off the bat. The other way, for those who are wondering, is working with the systems directly, which is another gemstone application. And this brings me to another experience that I had when I was in Portland. While I was there, I gave a session to someone who was feeling very low energy and emotionally low as well. It included chakra work. For the next 4 days, though, they were suddenly full of energy. They were full speed. They were doing all this stuff. On the 5th day, they said things started to kind of level out. And by the 6th day, they felt they were back to where they started. And could they have another session? And why hadn't the session's effect stood the test of time? Well, this is such an interesting question because it's similar to other comments that I've gotten over the years. For some reason, people tend to categorize diamond therapy and gemstone therapy as like instant cure-alls when they're not. They're supportive. They help you to heal yourself. When you receive a gemstone or diamond therapy session from a practitioner who knows how to really work with causes and best treatment accesses and so forth, well, sometimes people tend to think, well, one session is all that they need. So I told my client that, well, yeah, you have to get regular sessions before changes will hold. Some changes that are ready to shift that you've been working on for a long time, maybe that one session is all you need. But most of the time, for the big stuff, for that chronic stuff, you need several sessions. After all, people see psychotherapists on a regular basis, massage therapists, physical therapists, chiropractors on a regular basis. And with diamond and gemstone therapy, you see a practitioner on a regular basis until the problem is resolved. Or you learn how to do the self-therapy so that you can work with yourself whenever certain issues arise. Yeah. So personally, I feel that really to do my best work for people is when they commit to a series of sessions. Anyway, interesting experiences. Today, we are releasing the special green nephrite jade items, the special things that we found at the Tucson Gem Show. You can find the link to them by going to our homepage and clicking the jade circle that we have at the top. Now, something that I found, which I've never seen before, are jade bookmarks. And I have a little tassel in the back so you can see they are translucent. I only have 2 of them, but they are so unique that I brought home two because I didn't know if you guys would be interested or not. I thought they were amazing, but I love to read. I always have maybe 5 or 7 books going at the same time, and I'm an old-fashioned book reader. I don't use the digital version. And we also brought home a few Adzi pendants. This is the biggest one, so you wear it about here, right over the heart and the thymus. I find that it's extraordinarily helpful for keeping me protected when I'm in crowds. So that's the large. We have 2 larges. We have 2 mediums. That's one of the mediums. And we have a small. This is the small one. And then we have a baby one. This is the baby one. I'm not sure how effective this would be for that purpose for an adult, but if you're just looking for a gift for someone, this is a beautiful chunk of Canadian nephrite jade. And I also brought home a couple of leaves pendants, which I just think are just so pretty because they're jade. Jade looks like a leaf, right? So just a few fun things like that. We have I have 2 pairs of small leaf earrings, one with long leaves. I know the leaf earrings are really popular. So yeah, go check out that if you're interested. Okay, finally, last thing, somebody asked, what is high-grading? So high-grading is a process that we do where we separate out the beads that are not therapeutic from the ones that are. So when we buy beads from our vendors, they come in these hanks of, there could be 10, 20, sometimes 30 16-inch strands per hank. Usually it's 16-inch, sometimes 18, sometimes 15. But yeah, these big hanks of gems. And we go through them all. We make sure that there's no discoloration, that the holes are not cracked. We make sure that there's no 2 drill holes. We make sure that there's no flat edges. We make sure the color's right. There's no discoloration. We do everything that we can to pick out the ones that are truly therapeutic. And those are the ones that we make necklaces with. And sometimes if we have enough beads, we'll take that another step and sort the therapeutic beads by color. Either we're going to graduate the color, or you'll have individual necklaces that have just a very unique coloration. And I think that's just really important so that you can get the very best from your gemstones. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? We are lucky if the percentage that we remove is less than 10%, because most of the time it's 25, 30%, sometimes 50%, sometimes 70% of the beads of these hanks that we get, they're just not therapeutic. And we do not include them in the necklaces. We won't. I mean, I'm sure we're human. Maybe we'll miss one, but we have more than one set of eyes looking at these to make sure that every bead is just beautiful. Yeah. So that's what high grading is. It's our way of making sure that you get the very best when you entrust us with your gemstone needs. Well, I'm Isabelle Morton. I'm the founder of the Gemstone Therapy Institute. I wish you all the best on your journey to greater health. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.